Hi, welcome to Manas Shil YouTube channel. Before we start, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start the video. If you haven't watched the previous video, I'll link it in the description box, or you can click here. Tensura Volume 20. Chapter 1. The First Battle. Power Up Battle. Safiya's voice rang out in Gabel's head. He couldn't think of anything else. Even Bethab, the great enemy and threat in front of him, is out of Gabel's mind. Because, it can't be helped. Gabel has never been popular with the ladies. Behind his back, he had been looked at with a certain amount of favor, but the thing is, Gabel is a good-natured guy. There was no room for a good mood, as he could not see the subtleties of a woman's heart. So, until now, he had been renewing my no-girlfriend record. Then came the cool comment from Safiya. This was the most important moment of decision in Gabel's life. I have no other choice but to say it. If I don't do this, I'll never have a girlfriend. Gabel gathers his courage. They say that facing death stimulates the instinct to procreate, and this must have been exactly what Gabel was doing. Oh, what is it? I too have been thinking that Safiya Dono is, beautiful. At a time when he should have been mourning in despair, on this battlefield where he was so out of place, he made his confession to Safiya. He had done it. It's a pity that his courage was exhausted in an instant, and he whispered more and more. The fact that he could not say his confession until the end is also typical of Gabel. But to Gabel's surprise, Safiya understood his feelings. What? Are you serious? You think I'm pretty? She said she was beautiful, not pretty. Safiya was also in a panic in this extreme situation. As a proof, her tone of voice changed from eye to eye. In a sense, they were a perfect match for each other. Well, you were right. Gabel, you were right not to deny it. If you had done so, your destiny would have been different. However, by choosing the correct answer, the goddess of fortune turned around for Gabel. I can't help it now, Gabel-san. I'll give you a kiss as a reward after I beat him and this battle is over. Safiya was so excited that she did not understand what she was saying. She was so excited that she didn't understand what she was saying. She was carried away by the situation and made a terrible declaration, but she didn't realize it. But Gabel is different. He had Safiya's words firmly in his mind. Do you want to kiss me? Does she mean kiss as in kiss, not as in beat me up? This is an unprecedented event. Gabel's brain is in full gear and he is in a panic. Yushichi, Kakishin, and Sukuru were cheering Gabel up. Gabel-sama, you are irresistible. How I'm surprised. I knew you were a man of action, but confessing your love on the battlefield is too bold. That's right. This is exactly the way of life of a man. Gabel abandons his thoughts and his body starts dancing on its own. It has been repeated so many times that it has become a conditioned reflex. And then, he is in a happy fantasy. I was so happy and full of fantasies. I finally have a girlfriend. It's hard to be a popular guy. It was too soon to tell, but Gabel's fantasy was not revealed to anyone. Bethab was not able to resist Gabel. At first, he thought it was a trap, but the three who came to the scene showed no sign of taking cover. That was convenient. Bethab's forced movements had increased his fighting ability beyond his capabilities, so he actually had no time to spare. Of course, with ultra-speed regeneration his injuries would heal quickly, but the problem was that his energy was being drained too quickly. He thought that he could recover his strength and finish them off at once. That was the reason why he had allowed Gabel and the others to make a force of themselves. And now, he's in good physical condition. Bethab resumed his onslaught on Gabel. Or rather, he was going to finish him off with a single blow. Ignore me, you're just spouting nonsense. Fine. I'll show you what I'm talking about. In such a rage, Bethab delivered a special flying spindle kick to Gabel. But then something amazing happened. Hey, stop interfering. This is the most important moment of my life. Gabel shouted and hit Bethab with a spear. Just like that, Bethab was blown away. It was an unbelievable event. Bethab opened all his compound eyes in astonishment and shouted. What have you done? But Gabel did not hear. Safiya Dono, is that what you call Chu? Safiya understood what she had said. She was embarrassed, but she could not back out now. Oh, that's it. She said it as if to tell herself it was no big deal. Gabel nods again and again. Yes sir. I swear I will win with all my might. Gabel was inspired. Hopelessness is long gone. It is not whether he can win, but whether he will win. With this spirit, he glared at Bethab. Don't you dare, you little fish. Gabel's attitude made Bethab furious. He thinks that Gabel is far inferior to him and has the nerve to be so cocky. At the same time, however, he has not forgotten the strange phenomenon that just occurred. Although he thought it was just a coincidence, he was on the lookout for any eventuality. Was it really a coincidence? I attacked him many times with the intention of killing him. I wasn't holding back, and I felt I had a chance to finish them off. So how are they still alive? Beat-up's instincts told him that this was no coincidence. Beat-up was more dangerous than he thought and braced himself for it. Gabel, on the other hand, was excited that he might be able to get a girlfriend. They were prepared for the same thing. He feels sorry for Beat-up, but the world is always absurd. Here I come. Gabel shouts with a crisp expression on his face. Beat-up silently greets him. Then, the next moment, the two men cross each other again. Beat-up spins his whole body like a cone in a super-fast flight with more power than he can handle. All of his power is concentrated into the poisoned needles of alenium, protruding from the tips of his fists. This is Beat-up's special technique, the flying whirling needle thrust. This was Beat-up's special technique, spindle needle spear. Gabel, on the other hand, was holding up his vortex spear, true to the basics. He was not panicking or making a fuss, but carefully watching for the Beat-up, and then he delivered a desperate blow. Two large vortices swell and collide on the battlefield. As a result, it is Beat-up who falls. Vortex crash. Gabel's special move pierced through Beat-up. Oh, my god. Gabel Sama, that's so cool. Yes, it's a good one. It was no wonder that the three of them were surprised and praised. Gabel's offensive was so overwhelming that it seemed as if the previous struggles had been for nothing. Beat-up was not careless or complacent. And yet, this was the result. The secret was the vortex spear. Gabel was so occupied with his confession to Sophia that he did not realize that vortex spear had evolved to a mythical grade in a critical situation. And of course, Gabel was mainly recognized. As a result, Gabel's presence value exceeded that of Beat-up in total. Since the teams were almost equal in terms of skill, Gabel was able to win the competition. Gabel. Oh, that's it, Gabel. Oh, they're the cheers of the three players. Gabel dances to the tune of victory while being cheered by the three members. Sophia was also smiling as she watched, but she suddenly remembered the promise she had just made and blushed. Gabel notices Sophia's blush too, and the two look at each other and stiffen. It looks like we're intruders, don't you think? Yes, indeed. Good luck, Gabel Sama. With these words, the three left quickly. Gabel and Sophia were not happy to be left behind, but surprisingly, the two were a perfect match. The suspension bridge effect on the battlefield helped, and it did not take long for them to be honest with each other. Thus, spring came to Gabel. The death of Insect General Torin triggered a major change in the battlefield, but it was not just about Gabel and his men. Carrion, Midley, and Abart were also watching the situation, fearing that the balance of power on the battlefield would be upset. At this point, they made a decisive decision. Carrion was the first to make a move. Well, free one. Well, of course, I can't lose either. He smiled wryly and stared at Abart. Abart, who had many limbs, was good not only at close combat, but also at magic combat. His arms, covered with an exoskeleton that had reached alenium, could pierce his enemies sharper than a spear. Not only that, but by using his free hand to make a sign, he can also perform magic without chanting spells. At first glance, this combination of magic and unique physical techniques might seem to put Carrion in a difficult situation. However, the reality is different. Carrion was looking for an opportunity. How could he save his special move, the burst roar, and beat Abart with less consumption? While thinking about this, Carrion was searching for Abart's weak points. As soon as they started fighting, Carrion realized that he had the advantage. However, he did not take it easy. Abart's strength was real, and if he was not careful, Carrion might be defeated. Moreover, I did not want to cause him unnecessary injuries by rushing the game, because I had a feeling that it would be dangerous. As a matter of fact, it was the right choice. Abart was a special individual who entered a runaway state when he was about to run out of energy, and his attack power and recovery power tripled. If that had happened, Carrion would have had a hard time and, worst of all, would have lost the game. However, Carrion was able to maintain the battle line without any danger because of his wild intuition. He also recognized Abart's habit. Carrion, who knew how long it would take for the magic to be used again, and how long it would take for the spear to be fully extended before it was returned to its original position, waited for Abart to simultaneously activate both of them. Finally, the moment arrived. Free's defeat of Insect General Torin triggered Abart's impatience. I've been waiting for you. Beast roar. Carrion's technique pierced Abart's torso. The flash of magic particles widened its range of effect and completely engulfed Abart. Midley had a very calm view of the battlefield. He did not care about Insect General Cyril standing in front of him. Midley was in perfect control of his body, always exerting only a certain amount of force. In some cases, he even adjusted his body to the same level as that of his opponent, enjoying the act of fighting more purely. In this respect alone, Midley is in the same league as Diablo. That's exactly why Midley was so much fun to play against Cyril this time. You are not so bold. You seem to be confident of your poison, but it won't work on me. If you can't get through with your attack style relying on your poisonous tail, what will you do now? He said to Cyril in an agitated manner. Damn, you're cocky. Cyril snapped at the mercy of Midley. However, although the power of the attack has been increased by his anger, it is meaningless if it does not hit the target. Cyril, whose actions have become monotonous, is at Midley's mercy. It would have been easy just to finish him off. Midley did not do so because he was aware of the eerie atmosphere that covered the battlefield. What is this sticky feeling? They are probing my power. Well, have you lost interest? That means you can kill me anytime you want. This presence reminded him of Milim, whom Midley worships. However, there was none of the warmth of Milim. It was cold and devoid of any emotion, an eerie presence. Midley dared to keep Cyril alive, in order to find out his true identity. Well, Abart Dono is a smart woman, isn't she? Abart, too, is watching the battlefield without defeating Insect General who is facing her. Since the difference in power is such that they can be defeated at once, it seems that they are aiming at the same thing as Midley. The others do not seem to notice. Not to mention Carrion, who is dealing with the enemy general's S. They are fighting a fierce battle in which there is no room for others to intervene, and it seems that they do not have time to worry about unnecessary matters. The same goes for Geld. Insect General, an anthropomorphic giant centipede, was second only to Peliot in terms of presence, and seemed to be almost equal to Geld. It is no wonder that they could not afford to worry about other places, and Midley did not want to cause them unnecessary concern. Gopta and Ranga against Peliot, for example, may be too much concerned about the superiority of the enemy in front of them. However, Midley is truly thankful that this duo has come to his team. Midley was thinking that he had to rescue Phobio and Esprit, because they would have lost their lives if they had not. However, he could not move because of the eerie presence in the battlefield. Midley thought of returning the favor to Gopta by offering to help him with his training later, even though it would seem like an unnecessary favor from Gopta's point of view. So, after a prolonged standoff, the situation finally moved. Free defeated Insect General Torin, Gabel took out Beethip, and Carrion took out Abart. Midley sensed that the atmosphere of misery on the battlefield had become more intense and dangerous. For unknown reasons, something bad was happening. He was convinced of this and braced himself. His colleagues, Carrion and Free, also seemed to have finally sensed the presence of an ominous presence after defeating the Insect General they were dealing with. I guess they had instinctively realized it, but now they have become convinced of it. I guess those two are not ready yet. Their fighting style is better, but they need to learn to pay more attention to their surroundings, otherwise it will be difficult for them to follow Milim Sama. This is a rather harsh evaluation, but it is Midley's true feeling. Kakaki. How dare you lick my face? It was a backhanded move, but it's okay. Cyril went berserk at Midley, who seemed uninterested in him. He stuck his poisonous tail into his own body, and activated overdrive at his own will. Against Cyril, whose strength and speed had increased several times, even Midley could no longer afford to play with him. With a very bad feeling in his heart, he decided to end the game. Midley was strong when he got serious. He tied the oncoming Cyril with his massive fighting aura, and stopping him from moving. He then delivered a killing blow to his helpless foe, and Cyril's body was crushed to dust. Insta-kill. He showed his face as a man strong enough to be Milim's playmate. However, Midley's expression was gloomy. He don't like it. He got the chills, after all. Midley looked up at the sky, which had been darkened before he knew it. His back was telling him that killing Cyril had been a mistake. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy it.